Thank you all for joining us today for the Back to Business question and answer forum. I'm joined today by Mayor Pro Tem Guylaine Castriota, several City Council members, Chamber of Commerce President Sam Taylor, and many of our favorite local businesses. I'd like to kick us off with some exciting news. That is, as of this morning, Jeff has informed us that the state has officially approved Broomfield's application to operate a local version of the state's 5-star program. Thank you, Jeff and team, for getting us that. This means once a business application is approved and an on-site inspection is complete through our local version of the 5-star program, Broomfield can start getting back to business. That's why we are calling Broomfield's program the Back to Business Certification. More specifically, once approved, Broomfield businesses will be able to operate up to one level below our current designation on the dial if the business can demonstrate enhanced safety protocols and public health protections are in place. This will give us short and long-range path to the economic recovery while continuing to prioritize the public health and safety of our community. Since opening applications at noon on Monday, we are currently reviewing 32 Broomfield business applications. That's up 10 from what I heard this morning. For first inspections will be scheduled starting January 6th, with an estimated first round of approvals by the Back to Business Administrative Committee expected January 8th. So first round of approvals will be on January 8th. On a final note, I'd like to make it clear that while Broomfield Health staff is supporting this effort in an advisory role, Broomfield's public health team will remain committed to the pandemic response in terms of vaccination, distribution, contact tracing, and outreach. As such, while public health experts are on the call to help with our questions today and in the future, our economic vitality team will be your main point of contact for our B2B business program. Thank you for all your grit, determination, and support as we navigate through these unprecedented public health and economic crises together. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Broomfield will come out of this stronger together. And in large part, thanks to each of you on the call today. I'll now turn it over to one of our key members of our economic vitality team, Jill Mendoza, who will provide you an overview of today's session and how to ask your questions. Jill?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor. This afternoon, we are going to help you navigate through our Back to Business program. We'll be able to answer any questions you may have, and we do have the support of several council members, our mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Sam Taylor with our local chamber. Our two panelists today that will help answer questions are Jeff Romine, our Director of Economic Vitality, and Mike Salter, our Public Health Protection Administrator. What we would like for you to do is enter any question you have into the Q&A box. The Q&A can be found at the bottom of your screen. You click on the Q&A and then you enter your question into the box. We will try to answer all the questions that you may have. However, we will not be allowing attendees to speak, so you will have to enter your question within the Q&A box. I will facilitate all of the questions being answered by letting Jeff or Mike handle the question, depending on the nature of the question. And if we are unable to get to all of the questions today, we will follow up with you via email. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and I'll let Jeff do a brief intro about the program. We do have one question in the box, but please feel free for attendees to please enter whatever question you may have into the box. And once Jeff gets through with the intro, we will get to our questions. Thank you. Jeff?
Thanks, Jill. Thank you, Mayor and members of Council. And Sam, who's a member of our administrative committee, as well as the CEO and president of the chamber. And I just wanted to run through really briefly the process that you'll be going through if you decide to submit an application, and then some of the expectations. So first off, as the mayor pointed out, and you've read, if you've looked at any of the information on this program at this point, the first and most important goal of this program is still to maintain and protect the public health of the citizens, the employees, and the business, and for the businesses of Broomfield. That is always our overarching goal. And the only way, honestly, that we're going to be able to return our economy back to a more normal level and achieve the kinds of results we want to do. So really defeating the spread in this virus is really the first and foremost goal. But within that, we also recognize that a number of businesses have been doing everything they can and beyond the guidance to help protect the public health of Broomfield and their residents. And so that's really where the governor has come from, where the mayor and the city council and our public health board and public health director have all come from is let's recognize those who are doing a great job and doing it better than even the guidance requires. And then let's get them opening up as much as we possibly can at a safe and prudent manner. So within that, as you've heard about this program, the 5-star program from the state and the Back to Business program from Broomfield, the goal here is that if you are certified, if your business is certified, you will be able to operate up to the next level. And I phrase it that way because it's really important that this is still a public health issue, and we're going to keep focused on that. So if you become a certified business, we will provide guidance to you anytime that the city or the county begins to change its level. We will provide you guidance at what you can operate under. Generally speaking, we can go up to the next level. So that's the first thing I just wanted to point out. The second is the applications are an online application process. They are available at Back to Business at our website, and you can find that, and we'll give you those website information throughout. But the application is there. The assumption, I shouldn't say the assumption, the guidance is you must be following the state public health and the city and county of Broomfield's public health guidance at a minimum. And so you're going beyond that. And so in your applications, you want to emphasize those points of that you are going to at least meet those guidelines, and then what you're going to do beyond. That's what we're looking for in the applications and through our inspections. Those applications we're going to be moving through as rapidly as we possibly can. We have a goal that we'll be reviewing them and providing input back to you within 3 days. Those that we feel meet those guidelines will be invited to schedule an on-site inspection. We are asking that the business owner or manager be on site when we do those inspections. It'll be a useful exercise and a useful point where we'll be providing guidance as well as checking the things that you've stated in your application. Upon that approval or that review, then it goes to the administrative committee for action. And that administrative committee is going to be meeting every Friday in the mornings. And so they will be able to make that determination at that point whether the business is certified. Once certified, you will get both an email and a letter, and then you will receive also a certificate that shows that you're that, as well as a decal. So you can separate, and customers will be able to know that you are a certified business. At the same time, the city and county of Broomfield on our website will list the certified businesses, so our residents and the employees will know who they are that can be operating at a different level than the rest of the businesses. This is about ensuring public health, as I've mentioned, and you're going to hear us say that over and over again, because that's really the first and foremost thing for us. At that, I believe that pretty much covers the timeline. And then as you move through it, if for some reason there's a question that we still have, you'll move just as rapidly as we get the responses. And so that's our goal, is to work with the businesses and be able to do this in an effective, reasonable, and responsible manner. So at that, Jill, I'll turn it back to you, and you can begin to ask the questions to Mike and I primarily, but there's other people on that might be able to answer too. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jeff. The first question we have is, are the wristbands that they read about in the program mandatory? Jeff, can you speak to that? Are there wristbands that are required for certified businesses?
I'm not sure what the reference is to wristbands. There's risk, obviously, that's associated with this, and we're recognizing that the businesses are assuming that risk. The CALs and the certification, the public certification and the information will be publicly displayed, and so that's how people will know which businesses there are certified.
I think they're asking about a wristband. Okay. So that question, we're not requiring wristbands for certified businesses for guests that are within the business that has been certified.
Not in Broomfield.
Not in Broomfield. All right, great. The next question comes from Anthem Ranch. They have been functioning under the gym and fitness category for their HOA fitness center. They serve a vulnerable population, and will they be eligible to submit an application? Jeff?
Perhaps Mike may want to add a little bit, but obviously, yes, they can submit an application. There is within the application a question around separate populations, vulnerable populations, and others. And you could respond to that or add that additional information in your application as an attachment. What we'll be looking for is how you are, what you're doing differently for that population than the others. So as an example, many know that grocery stores were asked for a long period of time to operate special hours for persons over is either 60 or 65, I don't recall. And so that's what we're talking about with vulnerable populations is, are you doing some things to protect them and to ensure their safety also? So Mike, do you want to add anything there?
No, actually, Jeff, I think you basically nailed it, is that they would definitely be able to apply. And just as part of their application, we would want to see what they're doing to help protect those particularly vulnerable populations.
Great, thank you. And the way that they can provide that information is in the attachments. There are a few boxes where you can enter information into the application, but at the end, it really is desired that you would compile all of your information into one document and let us know how you're addressing each of these areas. Great. The next question is, could we provide more guidance around the approved exposure notification, promotion, and outreach requirements?
And that, to start with, and Jill, you brought it up, and I just wanted to reference this to everybody. When you go to the website for the Broomfield Back to Business program and click, there is actually a PDF version of the application you can print up first, so you can look at it to figure out what you're going to have to do to respond. We recommend that you do that. That way you have everything ready to go and at your fingertips when you fill out the application. The application is relatively easy to fill out if you have the things already ready and ready to attach. As far as the guidance around that, one of the things that we're looking for is for businesses of all types, whether you have a reservation and a check-in system, at the same time, you may have a sign-in book. So if you don't necessarily have a reservation system for a restaurant that you want to utilize, we're asking that you do have the information on the individuals who are coming into your business, so that if there's any indications of people that have been exposed, we have the ability, exposed and tested positive, we have the ability to do contact tracing. So a lot of that guidance is around that. And so you should be thinking through what you would be doing from a business perspective so that you can improve the information that you would share with your guests directly and your clients directly. And then if we do get to a higher level and there needs to be contact tracing done by the county, we have those documents. But the first level is, and many businesses have done this, is they notify their own employees or their customers of what's going, that there is a couple of people who tested positive. Again, I'll let Mike add on if I've missed something with that response.
Again, I think you pretty much got it, Jeff. The only thing I would add is that as far as additional information on the exposure notifications, on our website under the Back to Business, there is a section which has an exposure notifications toolkit, which actually has a link to a lot of additional information that can help with answering those specific questions.
Great, thank you. The next question is, spacing between tables different from one level to the next? For example, Broomfield statistics look promising to move us to orange very soon. With the ability to operate at yellow, is the spacing 10 feet? They just want some more clarification about when they're operating within a different level, how is that spacing going to be clarified?
And to start that, the first thing that we'd always want to express is what we're working toward is we're still in red. We obviously are collectively trying to get to orange or beyond, as rapidly as possible, but that comes through the public health metrics that will allow us to do that. So there is some people that are anticipating that we'll be moving to orange shortly. Right now, we are still in red. And so if your application comes in, you would be be able to operate in orange with some guidance. And that guidance is the 10 feet apart for restaurant seating and those tables. The higher levels do have a smaller amount. It's a 6 foot distance, I think, in most cases. So what we will do, just so that you know, and you don't have to guess at this, is if you're a certified business, we will be providing, upon the movement to the next level, we'll be providing you the guidance for the businesses that are there. So for the restaurants, we'll provide the guidance, the gyms and fitness, so that you don't have to guess. We'll provide you exactly what it is so that you know. And what's great about that is you'll space them at 10 feet initially. On booze and other things, you'll probably put an X, as we've done here in this building, on the seats that can't be utilized. And then as we move up in level and it goes to a 6 foot distance, then you'll be able to bring in additional tables for use into that area. And so that's really the way to think about this, is we'll be able to move and you'll be able to increase your seating much in the same way that your capacity will increase. They are parallel. So I think that's the best way to respond to that question.
Great. And Mike, can you tell us that if the spacing is from the near edge of the tables, or is it center to center? The 10 feet?
It's a good question. It's going to be from the edge of the tables, because the idea here is to keep folks as far apart from each other as possible. And unfortunately, if you went from the center of the table, if you had a really large table, you could borderline put them right next to each other. So it is going to be from the edge of the table.
This might be a good time to also let applicants know that if you are providing a diagram for your business, it would be very helpful if you could provide a scale and also give us specifications about the distance between the tables so that we can understand that you are abiding by the regulations. So the diagrams, we need a little bit more detail on. Great. Next question. If an applicant applied on Monday and with the holiday, when would they expect to hear back from us? And then when would they be eligible to schedule an on-site visit?
And we are doing our level best. As you can imagine, the mayor, the council, the city council, and Jennifer Hoffman, our city and county manager, have urged us to be responsible, but work expeditiously to get this program in place and moving. So we are doing that. We believe at the rate we're going that we will be able to respond to people that applied on Monday, tomorrow, before close of business. And we also believe that our computer friends, the talent here, will be able to have that app up and running, we believe, before close of business tomorrow, but it may be Monday. You will, in your email response from us, if you are able to move on to the self-schedule and be able to schedule as soon as you get that email address, that app address, so you can schedule it. From that point on, our goal is to always hit that 3 business days. So there is a holiday, obviously, we won't be working overtime on that day, but we will be responding in that 3-day period. So that's our goal, and we're going to do everything we can to hit that goal every time with every application. Now, I should say that obviously, if there's an incompleteness to the application, we will respond with an email within that period. As soon as you get that response back to us, we will move rapidly to rectify that, be able to move the application forward if appropriate. So we will continue to operate under a very rapid review process throughout.
Thank you. Are guidelines to suggest the operation protocols beyond those required by the current level going to be provided to the business if they're allowed to operate at a level different than the current level that we're in. So how will they know what operational protocols?
And again, what we are asking, or what is a minimum criteria is that you are, and there's a lot of attachments in the application and in various documents we've shared over the last few months. So you should be able to research any of the guidelines and know that you want to operate at that level, above that level, by looking at the CDPHEs, which is the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, or the Broomfield's Public Health Department guidelines. And you can look those up. If there's something that you're going to be doing beyond, you can, and you're unsure of it, you can always send an email. Mike, I believe it's publichealth@broomfield.org. And all questions around the public health specifically or guidance, you can send an email there. What they have on their website that you'll be linked to is both that question that you may have, but also the responses they've made to other businesses. What's important there is you can learn from that, and we can elevate. I think what a number of businesses have already shown is they are operating above the minimum guidelines that CDPHE has put out. And so, including such things as reservation systems ahead of time and the ability to contact trace. And many businesses have done that because they know already that this is the best way for us to move forward, is to protect the health and really rise above what is the minimums.
Great. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I think that pretty much sums it, is that we are always willing to answer questions. So if there are questions about it, I would agree with Jeff, send them into us and we will do our best to respond.
Great. And we have 43 participants now, so I'm just going to repeat that if you would like to ask a question, please go to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and click on the Q&A. And then you'll have the opportunity to enter the question into the box. We will try to get to all of the questions this afternoon. The next question we have is a little bit of clarification around the vulnerable population, Jeff. The Anthem Ranch population, over 85% of them are over the age of 65. Is there something special that they need to do or include in their application based on that population?
And I would refer that to Mike because.
So, and I'm happy to address it. So what it comes down to is the requirements from the state specify that in the case of gyms and fitness centers, that they have to take extra effort to create special hours or accommodations for at-risk populations and extra effort to provide outdoor fitness options. My recommendation would be, as part of the application, just make sure that you do provide that. So if you are providing a special time or special accommodations, I would outline what that is. It's not explicitly a requirement to have it, but it's definitely strongly recommended because it will, it helps protect folks.
Great. Jeff, can you talk a little bit about the HVAC specifications? What are those and why would a business need to provide information about HVAC specifications?
And I'll start, but then I am going to refer to Mike, and that will also be part of our on-site inspection. So we'll be able to provide a little bit more direction there. And really the main thing is making sure that it's clean and up to date. And so what we'll be looking for on the on-site inspection is your latest servicing of that system, and making sure that it is doing those types of things. As everyone knows, this virus spreads most completely through particles of moisture that we're spreading through our breath and other things. And so that's why the face masks are so critically important and other things. And that's what we're really trying to get at here is making sure that the filtration systems, the filters have been recently changed, your HVAC system is up to date, and if you've done some additional things. There is some guidance that I would just reference to, and Mike will probably go into a little bit more detail, but CDPHE does have some information, and there are some other approaches that some firms have taken to go one step beyond this. I'm not as familiar with it as perhaps Mike is, or you can get that information through the various governmental website. So Mike?
So, yeah, I would second that, as there is actually a guidance document from the Colorado Department of Health and Environment on COVID-19 and ventilation systems. And it actually, a fairly comprehensive document. It talks a lot about what the risks are and then different solutions that you can use, everything from natural ventilation to fans, filters, etc. I think the main thing that you would want to do when doing your application is, regardless of the way that you choose to go about improving your HVAC, is that we want you to do something to improve it, whether it is increasing the number of air changes per hour that occur in your facility through increased ventilation, or installing higher quality filters that may have a better opportunity to trap particulate matter and everything else. That's really what we want, is we want to see that you are taking steps to help with those with ventilation in your facility.
Great. The next question is, instead of tracking which guests sit at a table for guest contact tracing, is it required for fast casual restaurants where they get to choose their own table as opposed to being seated?
So first, and this is what's important, is under the guidance still, the table should be your own household, is really what the first reference is about who's at your table. And so that's the first step. As far as the additional tracking, I would just point out, and I'm going to turn this over to Mike, but I did want to reference before I do that, one other thing, and that is we're throwing out some of these things very rapidly, and I apologize for that. CDPHE is, again, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. You can go to CDPHE on your website and then look up COVID-19, and that will get you to much of this documentation that we're referencing. The other way to come at it is through Broomfield Public Health and look at it from that perspective also. So those would be 2 points of reference. Is when I go in my browser, I type CDPHE COVID-19, and that gets me to where some of the documentation Mike is referencing. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit more about the table sitting?
Yeah, so Jeff is absolutely right that we don't want to see mixed parties that are sitting at these tables. It should be from a singular group. Mixed parties obviously increases the risk of bringing different groups together, because you don't necessarily know what people outside of your particular bubble have been doing or who they've been with. The goal for the program in the specific language is that there has to be a way to screen for systems, record customer names and contact info to support contact tracing. So to that end, it's not necessary. If you were a fast casual restaurant where people choose their own seats, that may be doable. One of the recommendations would be you could use a sign-in sheet or some other method which may allow you to get the information from your customers. But it's not, you just have to make sure that you have that information available so that you can do the appropriate notifications, and so that the health department can do appropriate notifications if needed.
Great, thank you, Mike. A business is asking if they get certified based on the current timeline we've laid out, would that mean they would be able to open on the 8th at a reduced level?
Our goal will be, again, the committee will be meeting in the morning on the 8th, well, each Friday at the same period of time. Our goal will be to get the notification out before close of business on that Friday. I don't know if we'll be able to hit a 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, something like that, but we'll be setting up the systems. What you'll receive once you're certified is an email from us that same day, that we will then also send you a actual letter that you'll have with all of this documentation, with some of the documentation. In that will be the links. So it would be your choice to prepare to schedule and get items in to serve your customers, but you won't for Friday or Saturday, but you won't know until sometime in the afternoon on Friday that you'll be able to do it. So we talked about that, whether we want to do the notifications on Monday or Friday, and the decision was we will notify you as rapidly as we can after the committee meeting. And then you will be authorized to open at the higher, or to be at that higher level that we've authorized. But it is going to be a bit of a tricky, I don't know, a tricky situation. I'm not sure that you'll be able to set yourself up and notify your customers that you're open at 5 o'clock on a Friday, because you should wait until you get the notification from us. Would be the normal best practice.
Thank you. I have a question that is trying to clarify the previous question about seating. So it says in the application, it states that if they don't take reservations, they must track which table guests are sat at. And to clarify, they would like to know if it's required for fast casual. They will be gathering guest contact information, but is it required for them to track where they're seating?
Not their physical location, but again, they should be sitting with just their own household or immediate group. So what we would not want to see, if we were to walk in, using that as a vernacular, if we were to walk in, is that there's 4 people from 4 different parties sitting at a table. The assumption is we don't need to know it's table 1. What we want to know is that there's an isolation of table 10 feet apart initially, and that you are tracking your guests and you have information on those guests. You can do that through a reservation system, or as Mike alluded to, you can do it through a login system for people that are walking in. So the fast casual probably, obviously wouldn't be doing a reservation probably. They'd be doing walk-in, so there'd be a log. The customer would be able to get their food and then go to a table with their party and sit at that table. You would have the log, and that's what we'd be looking for.
And I will add on to that, Jeff, to say that it is important in those situations that the tables are being properly cleaned and sanitized between guests as well. So you would want to make sure you had someone who was basically, you don't want to go into a dirty table. You'd want to make sure that they were cleaned in between usages as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is asking about clarification in terms of the current status for Broomfield. So I don't know if Jeff or Mike wants to answer this, but if Broomfield continues to go down in cases, what is the timeline looking like to get to level orange?
I'm going to turn to Mike.
To that a little bit. I'm smiling a little bit because everybody wants to know, and it's one of those questions which we can't, we can't really answer it so well. Once we hit the appropriate metrics and do the appropriate process, then we can apply to get to the next level. But I can't say that, it'll happen next week or whenever it will happen. But rest assured that we are doing our best to keep on the metrics. And as soon as we become eligible for the next levels, we start the process to move to the next.
And can we give an update on just the current status of how our cases are looking and kind of our dashboard?
We can do that, but I just wanted to add to Mike's comment, and that is, as part of that process is going back to the Broomfield Board of Public Health, which is effectively our city council, and so that's part of the process. And so the Board of Public Health helps make that decision. The metrics obviously guide it, but the Board of Public Health makes the decision. So Mike, do you want to give a quick update? Because you probably know the metrics better than I do right now.
I will admit I am not as up to date on them, so I'm having to pull them up right now. But I can't really speak to them.
So real briefly, and maybe this is the best way to say it, we're still in red. We are moving all of our metrics, the key tracking metrics that determine some of this are all moving in a positive direction, which means that they're no longer pointing upward, if you will. They are beginning to move downward. So, using the metaphor of a hike in the mountains, we're beginning that little bit of a downhill. The key part, though, that has been expressed by our public health director, even in the call Mike and I just had, is we're just not sure what's coming through from the holidays. And so what we saw after Thanksgiving, of course, in Colorado and in the US, and in a number of counties, was some escalation due to some gathering and some other travel that occurred. No one can guess exactly what last weekend looked like and how that might impact. And so those are the metrics, but right now they've been moving in a positive direction. But I think we all, the public health team, especially in talking to them, is hopeful that they will stay moving in this direction. But you know, that is the $64,000 question.
Yes, and you can find the data dashboard on our website at broomfield.org. There is a COVID-19 data dashboard that's updated daily that tells you the total number of cases and kind of where we're at, if cases are going up or down. So feel free to consult our website for more information. Okay, the next question. Mike, do you know if ionizations of HVAC units would be considered as an improvement?
Short answer is yes, but the longer answer is if you're making an improvement like that, I think we would want to know the specifications of the system and what it was that was installed before I could make a really reasonably good estimation as to the improvements that are done.
Great, thank you. Another question about keeping a log of parties in restaurants. So if they are keeping a log, do they get one party name and phone number, or do they need to have a log of each of the members and their respective numbers? So does everyone in the party need to be identified in this log, or would one contact per party be sufficient?
I'm deferring to Mike because he understands the contact tracing better than I.
It's a good question. I think we would want as much contact information as possible. Again, this comes back to the idea of theoretically, as everybody is from the same party and they are all together and they could all be reached, then that would theoretically be acceptable. I think we would, when you're dealing with notifications and possible contact tracing, there can be concerns about family members and cross-family member notifications and things like that. So short version would be the more information we have on parties, the better that it would be. So if you have, I would say adult members of the parties would really be the key factor there.
Great, thank you. Well, we currently have answered all of the questions in the Q&A. Again, for all attendees, if you have any questions, we would like you to enter your question into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And at this time, Jeff, do you want to review any information regarding the application or resources online?
Yeah, let me just do a couple of quick things here just to remind everybody. Again, the way that we've set up this program and the way that we've been approved by the state is clearly that all the existing state guidelines, guidance, and Broomfield guidance is going to be in place in every business that is getting certified. So that's a core base. So as part of your applications, if you could reference that and say that you will meet those things, and then what you're really providing us then is that additional information that you're doing. Those are the things that we are looking for. There will be an on-site inspection after we review the applicant or the application, and that we can cover. In that you'll be able to ask some additional questions of the inspector, but more importantly, the better way to get answers to questions is by contacting either us at the back, through the Back to Business website, which you can find by going to broomfield.org and then Back to Business certification. You can contact Public Health at broomfield.org for specific health related questions. Or you can contact us at Economic Vitality at broomfield.org for process questions. So we have many ways that you can reach out and get your questions answered even before the application. Once you've submitted your application, we will respond to you with any outstanding issues, and we can have that conversation also. So what we're trying to do is set everybody up, be able to get access to as much information, as much guidance as you possibly can. And those links are also on the application and in our website. So again, it's Broomfield Back to Business Certification is the place where the application is, as well as this back information. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to share.
Great. And thank you to Councilmember Schaaf. He clarified that even after all of our metrics have shown that we can move to level orange, we do have a 2-week period with the state that we have to show that our metrics are continuing to decrease or remain stable. So there is a period before we can move to orange. We have another question that just came in. For non-food service gym retail businesses that do not do appointments, do they need to track customer visits? So not a restaurant, but other businesses.
Yeah, yes, and I apologize that we seem to be really focused on the restaurants. I will tell you that that's where the majority of the applicants have come in so far, but gyms and fitness centers, as well as personal services businesses, are also applying and have. The retail businesses aren't necessarily tracking, and that's not something that we're expected to do. And they operate under that guidance. Personal service businesses are probably having appointments, generally speaking. And so that would be similar to a reservation system. If you don't have an appointment system with your client listed in their contact information, then you would have to maintain a log also. Gyms and fitness, they would probably either have class sign-ins or space sign-ins. And so your contact information is probably that. So that would be similar to a reservation system. If you don't have that, then you would also be would need to have a login or a log system set up. Indicating, and we should say this, within the log, you'd want to be indicating, obviously, not just that they came, but the date and time that they came, as an example, if it's a workout or for a nail salon or something, of when that was, so that we can match it up in the contact tracing. Mike, anything that I missed? I think that hit those 3 other primary areas.
Yeah, basically, in all of the others, you are supposed to have some way to track them, is what it really comes down to. And so sign-in book is probably the easiest way to do it. And that would be my recommendation, is just use a sign-in log or something.
What about for retail businesses? Businesses at the mall, for example, a grocery store, there's not really a way to do that. What do you recommend?
That is true. This is actually probably a pretty good one that I think we probably need a little bit better clarity on, because the state guidance specifically does say that you record customer names and contact info to support tracing. I think we probably need to get a little bit better guidance from the state on that for those businesses where that may be a little bit more difficult, because it's likely not as necessary as well.
Right.
The other thing I should just mention, because this is important, and this would be in your certification letter, but just so you recognize, we are asking, or it is required that you'll be putting up a sign that basically has the contact information both of Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, as well as Broomfield Public Health, in case there are, as well as emails, in case there is a complaint or concern. And then those would be investigated. And then there's a possibility of a couple of different things. One is it may just be a little bit of an education. If we find that, I shouldn't say a little bit, but maybe some education. If we find that the complaint doesn't have merit leading to a decertification. But there are 2 levels that the administrative committee could take, which is the issue of a warning. There can be up to 1 warning for noncompliance. If the issue is severe enough, or if there's already been a warning, then the administrative committee can revoke the certification. So I just wanted to point out that what this certification does is it allows the business to operate at a different level, but it is based upon following the guidance, practicing, and doing those types of things. So it's not just getting the certification, but it is about maintaining that operational activity at that higher level that we're looking for. So it's just important to know what this is, and that is this is something that it's being granted because of the positive behavior and the ability that these businesses that get certified will be operating at. Mike, anything I should have else added there?
No, the only thing I would add is that one of the things in there, and we talked about this briefly earlier, was the exposure, notification, promotion, and outreach. And I will say that having posters and signs that encourage people to activate the app on their phone for possible exposures is a very good thing to have in your business, and that will actually help customers as well. So if there is an exposure which is linked back to there, it won't necessarily explicitly say there. It simply tells them that they may have been exposed to someone. And so I do believe that advertising that and having that available is a very good option as well.
And as Jeff mentioned, there is a way for customers to report compliance concerns on our website. If you go to broomfield.org and back to business certification, near the bottom of that page, there is a link to report a compliance concern for those businesses that have been certified, and also a separate link for compliance concerns for those businesses that have not been certified.
So I don't, since I don't see any more questions coming in, again, I just want to emphasize that we're working as rapidly as possible to work with you under the guidance of the mayor and city council and the city manager to put forward an effective but responsible program. And so we will continue to do that. This is really about, in the end, our goal is to return to an economic normal and a business normal as quickly as possible. And while this program hopefully will help through improved public health measures by individual businesses, the real way that we're going to get there is to follow those 4 W's that we keep talking about, and that so many people in Broomfield are practicing. Both the employees, you as a business owner or manager, are ensuring that this is happening, but people wearing face masks, doing social distancing, being just with your own individual group of people, your pod, your family, however you want to phrase it. Those are really important. And right now, as difficult it is during these holiday times when we're so used to gathering, limit your gathering as much as possible too. Those 4 things will do so much to allow us to be able to return to orange, yellow, blue, and eventually where we're not even talking about what level we're in on the dial. That's really where I think we all want to get collectively. But in the meantime, we hope this program is an effective and responsible approach. I don't have anything else. I don't know if the mayor wants to conclude since we don't have any other questions. Mike, anything you want to add before the mayor wraps it up for us?
Nope. I think I'm good. Thank you.
Actually, Mike, could I ask you, we've looked through several applications now. Can you give businesses any tips about what they can do to strengthen their applications?
That I can do. I think you already said one of them, which is that if you do submit a floor plan, having measurements or a scale on that floor plan is very helpful because it gives us an idea of like where things are actually spaced. I would say making sure that your submissions at the top of the application, it actually includes a list of the things that we're looking for. It includes sanitation plans and those pieces. The more detail that you provide us on what you intend to do and how you intend to do it, it makes the reviews go that much easier because we can really get through them. I do think that record keeping and all of that's one of the elements of this program, is ensuring that you are doing effective record keeping, because that is the only way that the inspectors can really know what is going on. So how you intend to keep those records. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at some of my notes on some of these really quick, but I would say those sorts of things. The more detail you provide, the better off it's going to be, and the faster the review will be for us. And I would also ensure that you hit those key elements in there. We've seen a few where they've come from, it's like a corporate level plan, and those can be difficult because they're obviously developed at a mass scale, and it may not meet the specific requirements of the Colorado program and the Broomfield program. So I would say pay attention to those key details as well.
Great. And Mayor, would you like to add any closing comments?
Yeah, I'll just make the comment that I just counted up. There's 5 city council members here that are on the call along with me to show the priority that getting our businesses open is to our city council. We all feel we feel the pain of the business owners in town and us as customers not being able to go to our favorite establishments. And so this is a priority to us. We're taking the lead in Colorado, which is not an unusual thing for Broomfield to do. And so I just want to thank the both teams from from public health, Mike, and the people from economic vitality. Thank you so much, Jill and Jeff. So anyway, so let's. I'm looking forward to see how it unfolds. Council will do whatever it can to get the resources so we can continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And all of the information, contacts, application, and program details are on our website at broomfield.org, Back to Business Certification. Thank you all and have a happy new year.